Hello, I'm Reese. This is all new to me. What I want to do today is just show you how I painted, I think it's the Captain from Imperium, or the Get Started box, one or the other. What I want to do today is just talk you through how I painted it, just with the aim of, how do we say it, simple techniques, good results. So here we go. So what we've got here, we're just starting with mixing. So what we're doing is mixing the black in with the green to get us our shade colour for the green. I think I'm using NATO green for my I don't know what it is actually. No, not Park Green. Yeah, NATO Green. Vallejo NATO Green Surface Primer. And basically, using Vallejo Black, gloss black on this kit, just to bring the shadows down a bit. And all we're doing is filling out all of the different shaded areas. So also to that, what we've got to start with is a Zenithal Prime, where I've used Mr. Hobby Surfacer 1500 Black, and then a bit of white, just really thin white paint over the top, a couple of coats of that, not just from top down, from sort of 45 degrees as well. That gives us, so the biggest coat is from top down, like that gives us the highest of highlights, and then from 45 degrees to sort of fade into the black. So all we're doing then is filling out the bits that are the darkest from the Zenithal, and then we're going over then the lighter parts with just purely the NATO green. As you can see, just work into the outlines, a bit like painted by numbers really. From there then, very simply, mixing a little bit of white into the NATO green, we create a highlight colour, and all I'm doing is edge highlighting quite thickly really, to just give that really sharp contrast effect. Nothing special, nothing too out there techniques wise. It's all about simple techniques. The biggest thing really is brush control, learning all the different how to clamp your hands properly. Again then repeating this with Vallejo Purple. So what we've got is Vallejo Purple, no it's not blue violet, Vallejo Purple, darken it down again to get the shade area, and the Zenithal really helped me to understand where shadows are. It's not just at the lowest point, they're quite often underneath surfaces. So like you can see by here where the cloak is tucked up under the chest piece, under the gun, and often the shadow, on something like this cloak, the shadow is at the top and all the light is casting onto the bottom of the part. And then going back in again with just the plain purple to give us the base colour, and then the normal tone. and at this point I'm still just working on blocking out the colours. Then we're going in with against Citadel. I've got to work out all my bloody colours back again because it's been so long since I painted it. Rhinox hide. And all we're doing again is blocking in the colours, making sure just to, not be careful not to paint over what we've already painted. And then I mix in a bit of white with that, just to give us an edge highlight colour again. And as you can see, there's no blending, no complex two shades. It's just pick a base colour, black and then white. For my army, I've chosen to use pink as quite a distinctive colour, and then just really steady hand against the painted surfaces, just to sort of block in the eye colour. As you can see by here, I'm not perfect. All mistakes can be fixed with a bit of touch up. So I'm also working in sub-assemblies, and by here you can see me applying the grey to trim my armour. But working in sub-assemblies is, especially with these push fit models, is a lot easier. You can get at areas where you're not used to. And then I'll mix in a bit of white into the grey as well to create the highlight colour. And then I'm just catching the raised edges. It doesn't look like it there, does it? So we're blocking in the metalwork first. As you can see, I'm not perfect. I am just Joe Blogs doing this. Using lead belcher, and then we start the first coat of red on the purity seals. I think a good thing here is choosing big bold contrasting colours from your main colour scheme to stand out quite easily and add that detail effect. So I've gone back in with the dry brush over the metal now, probably, to sort of show off the glow effect. And all I've done here is my drying towel for my paintbrush, dabbing it in the paint, working it the bristles until it's just about dry, and then working it around. So what we're doing is applying a lighter colour to the recesses to build up contrast. And then we will be starting to build up, to build down, if that makes sense, build down towards darker colours on the tips of the ridges. Just to show that you can see here, using my crack blue to darken up at the highest point of the ribs to show that the energy is coming from the deepest point and radiating out. And then we're using white to accentuate the outermost edges of the gun barrel to show that the energy light is sort of shining off the silvery parts. And again, I'm just using cheap brushes, nothing expensive here. Then we're applying, I believe it's null and oil to all the metalwork, just to darken up and build sort of a cheats way to build shade on metalwork. And it also collects the recesses to give you that panel line effect. And then we're just touching up little bits we missed. So it's important to know that you can always go back over your work. You know, missing something out is not necessarily going to kill your paint job. There's nothing you can't go back over and redo with, you know, a fresh bit of paint. And this is, I think, where I've let myself down a little bit. I only had a cheap bottle of craft paint, and as you can see, it just goes on terribly. I think I put about 4 or 5 layers on for the model, and even now that's something I will go back over with at some point and rebuild up layers of, you know, with proper model paint. And then for the base, I'm going for the earthy marsh, sort of marsh-y textures of, you know, a red underbase, building up through brown to sandy colours. So we're putting on a mix of red and brown, about 50-50, across the whole of the base. And again, like I said, more and more layers of this bone colour that just really doesn't work. And like I said earlier, it's all about going back through your work as well. If you see a mistake, don't be afraid. Wet your brush with that paint, go back to it, touch it up when you see it, because you might miss it again then and call the job done. Then halfway through a day of gaming, you see it and curse yourself for it. So yeah, we're taking a second pass of silver through everything, going around all the missed bits on the part. Things like the hilt of the sword and the bottom of the scabbard. And then we're going to apply a what is it called? Drakenhof Nightshade to the armor metal to give it that tint, like a bluish tint, just to differentiate it between the weapons and the armor. And then I'm going to give a coat around everywhere that's glowing, just to accentuate the blue of the plasma. And then we're going to add I think that is Agrax Earthshade to the grey, just to sort of emphasise the highlight work we've done earlier by putting that bit of shade into the deepest of recesses, and then bringing out details on other parts as well then. But I'm using Agrax Earthshade instead of black Null Oil, just to sort of to not bring it down to blacks. It's just to add that depth of colour. And then of course I forgot something else, so I've gone backwards again to add more metal. I think the very last bit I go back and paint the halo on the back of his backpack thing. So to build up colour to the sandy base I was on about earlier, I've added a bit of yellow to the red brown mixture, just to build that a bit of warmth to the colour. And I'm dry brushing that on with a simple cheap makeup brush, Primark Special. And you see I'm trying to go quite heavy with it, because I'm going to add a third layer to this. So this is just building a bit of, to add the depth to the final paint. And in a way, not being able to get under the model adds that sort of three-dimensional effect to the paintwork, because he's casting a shadow over the floor as well. And I'm not afraid to allow this to brush up on the feet slightly, the bottoms of the cape. Yeah, it just adds that a weathered in effect. And then I'm going to finish it off with a very light dry brush of just the bone colour. I think it's either sand or flesh colour, just to catch the highest of edges on the earth. And then, as always for this army, I'm going to highlight, colour the rim with, oh, what bloody colour is it? Okay, I never remember what colour it is. Brown. Just edge in the base with brown, just to tie it in. Same sort of colour scheme as the base, so a shade of that just helps to tie it in. And then, like I said, I'm going back then to finish off Finished everything else off the model, and I forgot I'd missed the halo. So that gets a quick coat of silver to tie it in with the rest, so it does not look out of place. That's it.